Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another Magic Puzzle Quest video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over what I think is maybe the most insane card duo to come out in a set in a really long time. So, let's get into it. The card duo starts with, well, a single card at first, and that's going to be Dragonhawk Fate's Tempest. This card is a 15 mana 5/5 flying legendary bird dragon. It reads, when this creature enters the battlefield or attacks, exile the top 3 cards of your library. Then deal damage to your opponent's planeswalker equal to the number of cards in your exile, and destroy 10 random gems. Furthermore, at the end of your turn, return a random card from your exile to your hand and give that card full mana. So, on its own, this Dragonhawk Fate's Tempest is one of the best cards in the set. I think there's a very good argument for this actually being the best card in the Blomoburrow set. Yes, I have Tempt with bunnies as well, and I think that this is probably the best card in the set. Let's unpack why. 15 for a 5/5 is okay, right? The 15 mana isn't too high, it isn't too low. 5/5 isn't great, but it's not terrible. But when this thing enters the battlefield or attacks, you're performing the exile trigger. Furthermore, every time it enters the battlefield or attacks, it's going to do damage based on the number of cards in your exile. And it's also going to destroy 10 gems. And at the end of your turn, you're getting a free card. But the thing that makes this thing so incredible, to me at least, is that you're exiling every turn, and you're doing damage equal to the number of cards in exile every turn. And on its own, that would be okay. But we've got some planeswalkers in the game right now that pair incredibly well with this, and we have other cards in the set and in Standard that are going to pair incredibly well with this. Now, this thing is insane, absolutely insane, if you're able to start getting a bunch of cards into your exile. The bottom portion that gives you a card with full mana being random is really cool. Free cards are always nice. But the damage that you do is a stacking amount of damage that gets higher and higher throughout the game. Meaning that if your opponent destroys the Dragonhawk, Fate's Tempest, and then you wind up playing another one later on in the game, or multiples later in the game, they're just going to keep stacking that damage up and up. Meaning that if you get into a prolonged fight, the Dragonhawk is ultimately going to beat you. Now, the other card from the new set that pairs so ridiculously well with it is Season of the Bold. This is also a red card, just like the dragon. It's 10 mana, it's got Spree, and Spree 1 is going to exile the first 5 cards from your library and draw you a card. Spree 2 is going to do damage to the first opposing creature and planeswalker equal to the number of cards in your exile. And then Spree 3 is going to create 4 gold tokens. I think that the synergy between these two cards is immediately apparent. This thing is going to exile cards, which is going to increase the damage that the dragon does. This thing is going to do damage to both the first opposing creature and the opposing planeswalker equal to the number of cards in exile, which is going to pair really well with the dragon. And then the 4 gold tokens, which the dragon's then able to destroy because it's destroying random gems, and then giving you extra mana. So on the whole, these two cards pair incredibly well together. It's kind of ridiculous that they exist together. Now, we happen to have some planeswalkers that this pairs really well with, like I mentioned. The number one crazy planeswalker that this is going to pair with is Quintorius Kand. I'm actually of the opinion that Quintorius Kand is quite possibly the best planeswalker in Standard now, because not only is Kand the best planeswalker in the game to be running the new exile tactic, but it also is, in my opinion, the best planeswalker in the game to be running the new life gain tactic with the new Tempt with bunnies. So, it's kind of crazy. I've seen arguments for Puzzle Masters of Johnny for the bunnies, but that's going to be another video. Kand and the exile strategy, though. Kand's first ability is going to exile the top 9 cards from your library. They're going to gain the Lorehold emblem, and then you're going to gain life equal to the number of cards with the Lorehold emblem in your exile. This means that every time you pop Kand's first ability, not only are you going to be gaining life, which is going to help you in a protracted battle, which is going to go very well with that dragon and with the season, but on top of that, you're going to be throwing more cards into exile, empowering the dragon every single turn, and empowering every copy of that red season that you play. The third ability can be kind of nice if you wind up needing it as well. It's going to do damage to your opponent. It's going to convert gems to red, equal to the number of cards with Lorehold emblem in your exile. That's going to be from activating your first, and then you're going to create the Lorehold Sigil token. That Sigil token can't be in reinforced, it's only got 2 shields, it dies all the time, and makes it so that at the beginning of your turn, you're going to do damage to your opponent's planeswalker and destroy X non-red gems equal to the number of Lorehold cards in your exile. You're probably not going to have that token out very long, but the real key here with Kand is that you've got that first ability to throw a whole bunch of things into exile, and you've got the third ability if you wind up needing it just to make sure that you hit that spree threshold that you want for the season. So Kand is entirely crazy with these two. You can build around these two in a whole bunch of ways. This way happens to be my favorite way. I'll be showcasing this deck in the video. This deck is just all about free stuff and exile. So the Dragonhawk is going to be getting me something free every turn. The infamous Cruel Claw is going to be getting me something free every turn. Loot, the key to everything, is going to throw 10 cards into your exile, which you know what that's going to pair with, and it's also going to get you a free thing every turn. Then we've got Golden Wish, which is going to get us 2 free things for every cast, and a whole bunch of loyalty to ensure that Kand is going to be able to use the first or the third ability, or both, just as much as you want. We've got Pyromancer's Goggles, which pairs crazily well with all of this as well, because our dragon is going to be destroying 10 gems at random every turn, meaning it's probably going to be triggering our goggle activations and giving us a bunch of free spells. I've got Requisition Raid, which is just going to wipe out everything that my opponent controls. Haha. I've got Assemble the Players for more free stuff, because all the creatures in this deck have 6 or less power. 5 or less if you want to be technical, because of the Dragonhawk being at 5, Cruel Claw being at 3, and Loot being at 1, meaning that Assemble the Players is going to get us some of our free stuff every single turn. If it gets Dragonhawks, that's just going to bang your opponent. If it gets Cruel Claws, that's going to help you get more free cards. And if it's Loot, you're going to be throwing a whole bunch of extra things into exile. Sunken Citadel is going to pair very well with Quintorius Kand, because Quintorius Kand has 4 colored mana bonus boosts. And so not only will this give us a conversion when it enters the battlefield, but it's going to increase all of our mana bonuses by quite a bit. And then lastly, I've got Mana Crypt, because this is also going to be giving me free stuff with the mana field, along with giving us some conversion. The life loss is entirely negligible because Kand is going to be gaining us life. Now, Quintorius Kand and this deck are not the only way that you can run the Dragonhawk. I've been running the Dragonhawk in a number of decks, and all of them have been amazingly successful. Let's take a look at some of the other planeswalkers that are going to pair really well with the Dragonhawk in case you don't have Kand or you can't build this deck. The first planeswalker, other than Quintorius Kand, that I found pairs really well with the Red Dragon is actually the Puzzle Master's Chandra Ignited. This planeswalker has a first ability that's going to be activating 4 gems, and it makes it so that when you trigger those activate gems, you're going to deal 2 damage to the first opposing creature and make 2 1/1 elemental tokens. This is nice because not only is this going to be pinging your opponent's first creature, but the passive ability on Chandra Ignited is going to make it so that when you destroy one of your activated gems, you're going to fetch the first spell card from your library. You can do that once per turn, but if you're running the Red Season and that's the only spell that you're running in your deck, then you're going to find that the dragon's going to be popping all those activate gems. You're going to get an insane number of those casts, because not only are you likely going to be running Pyromancer's Goggles and getting a whole bunch of activations off of that, but you're also going to be triggering this Ignited passive and getting a whole bunch of them with that as well. That's going to end games really, really fast. Be careful with this, because if you're trying to play in an objective-based game mode, you're probably going to kill your opponent too fast. It is that strong. The second other planeswalker that I really like with the card duo is going to be Jaya Fiery Negotiator. This is going to play a lot like my Caught in the Crossfire deck, so if you've seen that video, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you should definitely go ahead and watch that video. But with Jaya Fiery Negotiator, the first ability is going to pick one of the first 3 spell cards from your library, give it Outcast, give it 6 mana, and then convert 4 gems to red. This planeswalker has an incredibly high red mana bonus at +9, so whatever you wind up getting with that fetch from the first ability is something that you're almost definitely going to be able to cast that turn. If you're running a bunch of gem conversion, which you should be with a monocolored planeswalker, then you're going to wind up getting that spree counter up pretty high, and so you'll be able to use that Red Season to blast your opponent away. You should be able to use that impulsive deal pretty much every turn as well, especially if you're running other gem conversion, and so this with the dragon forms another incredibly powerful combo that you can run. One thing that's nice about Jaya Fiery Negotiator is even if you don't get the dragon and you just wind up spamming that first ability and you have conversion, you're going to kill your opponent with the spell anyways, because it does so much damage. It also does damage to creatures, so the extra creature removal that you get from that is very nice as well. Honestly, the way that Jaya Fiery Negotiator and Chandra Ignited are going to play is going to be very similar, though. The third Planeswalker that I'm really enjoying this with is actually the new Ral Crackling Wit. This Planeswalker is going to be getting its own video, don't worry. But just for this particular combo, Ral Crackling Wit is kind of weird in that Ral is a Planeswalker that you think of as a spell-based Planeswalker that you're going to run a lot of spells with. But the success that I've had with Ral Crackling Wit is actually with just running a single powerful spell. And in my opinion, there is no more powerful spell in Standard right now than that Red Season. So the first ability with Ral Crackling Wit is going to destroy a block of 3x3 gems, and then you're going to pick 2 of the first 4 spell cards from your library and create copies of them in your hand. Meaning that if you're running this with that Red Season as the only spell in your deck, then you're going to be getting 2 copies of those with the first ability. The third ability, Storm Otter tokens, Storm Apprentice, you're going to make the 4 Storm Otter tokens, is going to make it so that Prowess, whenever you cast a spell, create a copy of the first spell card from your library in your hand. That'll be that Red Season. Then copy cards in your hand, gain full mana. This only triggers once per turn. So you cast 1, that means you get 2. But it also means that if you get that Storm Otter token down and then you use that first ability and you get 2 copies and then you wind up playing one of those, you wind up getting the 2 copies plus another bonus one that you get from the third ability, and you just wind up casting like 3 of those a turn. And your opponent's not going to survive that. It's not happening, especially with the dragon. So I know that Planeswalkers 2, 3, and 4, aka not Quintorius Kand, are going to play in a very similar way in that you're just running the 1 red spell in your deck to go with the dragon, but it works so well. Why fix something that's not broken? It's crazy. So with that, that's what I wanted to showcase for you guys with this one, or show you, I guess would be a better way of putting that. Let's actually go ahead and showcase gameplay of this all in action. Alrighty, so for this first match, I'm actually going to go ahead and test this against a Legacy opponent. I feel like the deck is good enough that it can stand up to Legacy, although obviously Legacy is going to be a little bit stronger, so it'll be a little bit scary that way, but maybe we'll be able to get something going. Standard doesn't have any events actively running right now, and I feel confident enough that this could go as long as my opponent's not running an Omni deck. This isn't our set, so odds are pretty decent. So here you're seeing Loot is going to start giving me free stuff. And then actually I'm going to move to assemble the players first, just because I want to get that dragon down. The sooner that we get the dragon down, the sooner that wonderful things happen. There's no reason not to exile more cards, so we're going to go ahead and do that here. And then now that there are more cards exiled, I think that actually Season of the Bold will be fine if it winds up casting. It'll do a considerable amount of damage. And then as for the match, I'm going to go for red and hope I get red into white to steal it from Narset, which I do. And actually I get red into white, which is pretty ideal. So now we'll get a creature at the start of my turn. I get another Loot, which is fine because I think the 15 mana card is the dragon. Perfect. All right, so now here we're going to see our first casting of the dragon, and you're going to get to see both the dragon and the Season of the Bold triggering here in the same turn. So they're going to go and hit 1, 2. So I actually really like how the spread is here. So let's just go ahead and do this. The Mana Crypt, yeah, I don't have any Apple TV things though. The Crypt is going to go ahead and present mana to the Season, and then the dragon and the Season. I don't know why it keeps saying Apple TV. I don't actually have one. But you'll see that it's doing massive damage here to Narset. Unfortunately, my opponent does get a 5 match. And I'm taking quite a significant amount of damage, but oh nope, they get another 5 match, okay, and then they get a double into another, okay, but that's going to be the end of the line for them. So here you'll see that just from the base exile, this winds up ending the match really, really quickly. This is one of the really nice things about this deck is that it's not like Legacy strong in that I would say that this is Legacy meta. But you'll see that this is going to be able to stand up very well even against Legacy decks because you wind up killing your opponent so quickly. So it's one of those standard decks that's honestly just that deadly. So we take out our first opponent. We're going to look at the battle log to see how much that final strike was from the dragon. Let's see how much did we do here? It was for 65. Yeah, that's pretty significant. Honestly, if you saw the stream that I was running this on, you'll know that I have like a very high opinion of this. I think it's like insanely powerful. So let's take one more look at this deck in action, and then I can showcase some of the other decks as well. But I think this one's good enough to just stand the test of playing in the Legacy training grounds. I normally avoid Legacy like the plague because I hate the format, but this deck is just fun enough that I'm down to risk it for the biscuit. So here we're going to go assemble the players first. It's always a tough call between the goggles and assemble the players, but here I'm going to go with assemble the players first. As for starting matches, I think black into red here is my best option, and I wind up getting a turn 1 assemble the players. That's huge. My opponent's getting a little cascade going here, but they didn't wind up getting anything too terrifying, so that's good. And then the next one here is we're going to go for the goggles. So you'll notice I still don't have the dragon yet. You'll also notice that even though I've gotten Season of the Bold, I've sort of just frozen it down in my hand both times. And then the reason for that is just that Season of the Bold is very, very good, but you do need to get some cards into exile first. And so it's best if you have something like Loot here to go ahead and put something into exile. So now I've got the dragon, I've got the goggles, I'm going to be getting another free card here from Cruel Claw. And so I'm actually feeling really good about this position. I just want to make sure that I'm not giving my opponent a red match, and I'm hopefully stealing it from them. So here I got a Golden Wish from Cruel Claw. That's great. That means that I can very freely use my first here. I can go ahead and throw away some cards from my hand. I'm going to throw away the Requisition Raid. I'm actually going to throw away the Season of the Bold, just because I'm going to be getting 2 more spells here. And then the dragon, I'm probably not going to cast, but this should be 2 Pyromancer's Goggle triggers, which it is. And so that is going to give me a bunch of loyalty, and then this should get me some Seasons of the Bold. All right, so the first one's doing 36 damage already. Oh, man. It just hits so hard. Here you're seeing the Season of the Bold without even the dragon go into town here. So Hamlet back, that's fine. I'll take the damage. This is not a big deal. And then, let's see, I get a 15 mana. That's going to be a Requisition Raid. I get another Loot, which is really, really nice. I've got a Golden Wish. So let's have the Requisition Raid definitely get rid of my opponent's creature. I don't want that. I do want the Golden Wish here, and then I would ideally like to get the Dragonhawk down as well. Am I able to trigger any of the... am I able to trigger any of these? No, I'm not, but I am able to get the Dragonhawk. So how about... This is a Mana Crypt. How about I have the Dragonhawk go... Ooh, it's tempting to have Loot go first, just in case. Actually, I do have 2 spells here, don't I? 1, 2. I'm going to go for the 2 spells. Yep, I've used my first here, and then I'm going to get this going here for... Oh, I should have thrown away another creature from my hand. It doesn't matter. My opponent is very, very dead here. The Dragonhawk is going to hit for 58. Oh, man, we're going to get another spell here. My opponent's creature is going to be powered up, but it's no big deal. This is definitely game over. My opponent is dead. So here you're seeing, like, you're not seeing big numbers, but you get to see how absolutely consistent the deck is. Like, you win, and you win pretty quickly. You win very consistently. You win very easily. And there's really not a ton that your opponent can do about it. Like, they can win faster. There's actually one counter. The one counter, and I forgot to mention it earlier, is actually Tybalt. The Tybalt Planeswalker is your death with this. It's absolutely your death. Oh, no, my opponent gets 1 more turn, and this is Legacy, so they could get something terrible, but they don't, because they are not cool enough to get something terrible. So here, do I have a double match? I don't think I have a double match. No, I don't. So let's see what happens if I do this. This should just kill my opponent, right? Yeah, okay, game over. So that's the Quintorius Kand version. You'll see that we're 2 for 2 in Legacy. I did get an assemble the players out early both times, but it really doesn't matter. Like, you've just got so much consistency from getting so many free cards from the Goggles, the Dragon, Cruel Claw, Loot, assemble the players. You win so fast. So let's go ahead and this time take a look at one of the other decks in action, like Chandra. So for the Chandra variant, what I'm going to be doing here is you'll see that I'm using Dragonhawk, I'm using Cruel Claw, I'm using Loot, I'm using Season of the Bold, I'm using the Pyromancer's Goggles. Those are all the same. But here I'm throwing in a few extra nasty little bits. One of them is going to be Hot Pursuit. Hot Pursuit is going to trap 8 gems. It's going to exile things from my opponent's hand, and if my opponent matches those trap gems, then I'm going to do damage to my opponent's creature and planeswalker equal to the number of cards in all exiles. This can be run with Kand as well, which is pretty wacky, especially with the Dragonhawk and the Season of the Bold. But I find that with that one, I just like the consistency of getting more cards. The other things in here are converters, so the Leyline, the Deeps, Koth, and then I'm just running this for fun because I have it, and I feel like I should be running it in some decks. I think that Hammerhead's Archive is arguably better, but I think it's fun, and I like running cards that I think are fun. So here you're going to get to see that I've got the Dragonhawk first, along with the Leyline. Oh my goodness. This is actually a really tough call. I'm going to go for the Dragonhawk first. It's very rare that I'll go for a card over a Leyline, but between the Dragonhawk destroying gems and potentially getting me mana and giving me free cards, I actually think that the Dragonhawk is the better play. I get another Dragonhawk. That's absolutely wild. I'm going to start using my first ability here with Chandra so I can start getting some free seasons. So that first destruction of an activated gem is going to get me my first free season here. And then that's going to destroy some more gems because it's what Dragonhawk does. And then I've got the Leyline, I've got the Dragonhawk, and I've got the Season of the Bold. So let's go ahead and take the... I think I'm going to go black into blue and hope I get a Cascade of some sort. That would be ideal. I'm going to get some elemental tokens, which whoop-de-doo. Let's see, do I get one? I don't get one here. I do give my opponent a 5 match, which is really bad, especially in Legacy. Sometimes that happens with gem destruction. My opponent plays a Cryptex, and they get another 5 match, because of course they do. But I'm still not too worried about this. This will kill my dragon. It does actually, I think, kill my my Leyline as well. Oh, it didn't kill the dragon. Interesting. I thought that would have killed the dragon. Okay, it didn't kill the dragon. No big deal. The dragon doesn't need its own power to be deadly. So losing the Leyline is unfortunate, obviously. I would have preferred not to have lost the Leyline here, but that's okay. As for the Season of the Bold, I don't think I'm going to be getting a double match here. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to destroy my opponent's Eidolon token here. I'll get another Season of the Bold, and then I'm going to get Hot Pursuit down. And my opponent should be here using their first again, I would imagine. I get another free card. It's a 14 mana card. So is that another... no, it's an Echoing Deeps. Okay, that's fine. So I got Season of the Bold. I've got another Season of the Bold. Let's see if we can get a double match here. Because at this point, in order for Season of the Bold to really do Season of the Bold things, we need a double match. I don't have them here, which is okay. So I think what I'll do is I'll risk one Season of the Bold, but not 2 of them on this. So what I'll do is I'll actually throw away the power balance. Shoot. Because I do want to get another free Season of the Bold here. Which one has the highest chance of doubling? Well, we'll take this one. This destroys my opponent's creature. It has a chance of doubling for bonus damage. It may not give it to me. It won't. That's fine. I'll just get the exile here. But even just getting the exile is fine because that's going to empower my dragon. It's going to give me... I've got a converter down here, so that might help me get my spree going. And so we'll just have to see what my opponent has in their deck. Okay, so this is definitely the end of my dragon. And so here we're going to get to see a little bit more of what happens in a battle of attrition. So my opponent's going to be destroying my stuff, no big deal. And then I've got the first match, which means Season of the Bold is going to trigger, and this is game over. Yeah, cool. Okay. Easy game over here. So here you'll see that even though my opponent's gone and removed my stuff, the loot into Season of the Bold into Dragonhawk is 100% ending this game, and there's nothing my opponent's going to be able to do about that. So, ooh boy, I get a whole bunch of bonus matches that are going to be irrelevant. Loot comes down, Season of the Bold is going to hit my opponent for 32, and then the dragon's going to come in and hit for 35, I think. So that's going to be game over there, and once again, overpower the opponent. I'm lucky in that my opponent's not playing some kind of like deploy the Gatewatch loop shenanigans nonsense, but this is still Legacy Training Grounds, and I am still stomping my opponents. Was that 35 with the last one? It was. But still, even with these two, right? Like, this here is 67 damage. And then just the consistency. Like, my opponent's wiping out my stuff, and it doesn't matter. And that's some of what's really cool about this. We'll do one more match with Chandra Ignited, see how that goes, and then hopefully we get just a little bit more conversion. Get a little bit more conversion would be nice. And then we'll move on to another walker. So I'm talking about conversion, and I get a Leyline of the Guild Pact. So that's ideal, and I got the goggles as well. So here, let's see, what would be the best match? I think green into loyalty would be the best. Yeah, green into loyalty would probably be the best. I'm just looking to see if there's another way I can do this without giving my opponent a match, and there isn't a way of doing it without giving them blue. So they're going to get blue out of this if they want. They're not taking it. That's a bold move. Let's freeze this down. Let's take a 5 match. Let's get the ley line for sure here. If you're wondering why I'm going for the Echoing Deeps, I just want extra conversion. Hold on. We're freezing you both down again. And then we're going to unfreeze you both. Okay, so here I'm going to get both of them down, which is pretty great. You know what? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to use Living Fire just to see if it does activate something that I can pop right here. If it doesn't, that's fine. I'm going to be converting 9 gems to red here at the start of my turn. So there's the first convert. There's the second convert. That's going to give me a Pyromancer's Goggles and Cruel Claw down. So the goggles are going to come down first, and then Cruel Claw is not coming down this turn. That's fine. I'm just going to activate more gems, and then I'm going to take, I think, the red match on the bottom and hope I go red into red. Ooh, but if I go red on the bottom, I could get the tokens. Let's get the tokens and the free season. Let's get the tokens and the free season and just see what happens here. So my opponent makes a big match. They play a Cephalid. Interesting. Okay, that's pretty bad for my opponent, actually, in a way. It's not like super amazing for them because I've got these Seasons of the Bold. I've got bonus Pyromancer's Goggles here. Which one is this? That's going to be a Chandra. So let's take the 5 match. That's going to ping the Cephalid for 2. And then I've got enough spree that my Seasons are going to start hitting my opponent's Cephalid. So let's just kill the Cephalid here. So we get a Koth. That's beautiful. That's going to be extra free goodies. We're going to get the gold tokens here, and then I'm just going to look for a Pyromancer's Goggle trigger. There's a goggle. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get a free season over here, and then I'm going to get Season of the Bold into a Hot Pursuit. This is just so nice, guys. Here you're seeing that I don't have the dragon, and I'm still absolutely wrecking my opponent. The Seasons of the Bold are starting to add up. They're up to 15, meaning that the next cast is going to be up to 20. And with my conversion, there's no way that I'm not going to be getting the spree up there. So here's going to be our first set of matches. It's going to give us a bunch of elemental tokens. I should clear out my hand a little bit, just so I definitely have some room. I've got some Hot Pursuits I don't need. I do want the Seasons of the Bold. I'm going to actually get rid of... I really don't need any of that stuff. There. Let's see. Let's do Koth. And then let's see what our gems are. That's a Goggles. Ooh, that's a goggle. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to get a goggle. So let's do Season of the Bold. Let's do Goggles first into Season of the Bold. And then destroying that trigger should get me... I'm going to actually destroy Power Balance. Let's see what happens here. So we're definitely getting... another Season of the Bold. Okay, so Season of the Bold's going to come down for 20 damage here, or 22. I got bonus cards in exile, lovely. And then this one's going to be going for 27, which means that the next Season of the Bold is going to kill my opponent. And you'll see that I've got one. Ooh, my battery's almost dead. I've got one in my hand, and I've got all the way charged up now. And my opponent did not do enough. So this is very game over. Oh yeah, this is very, very game over. So this is cool. This is one where I get to showcase that even if you don't get the dragon, you still kill your opponent. So here we're going to move this on up, and, let's toss the Echoing Deeps. I don't know why I'm fishing for another Pyromancer's Goggle trigger. It doesn't matter. My opponent's just so dead. Look at this. I've got 4 Seasons of the Bold that are going to be casting this turn. So this first one is doing... I don't remember what it was. I'll have to double check. We're going to check the battle log for this, but we were going to get 4 of them. So how much damage was that turn going to be? By the way, Hazoret's Undying Fury with this thing is super nasty too. So let's see. We've got Season of the Bold doing 33 for the first one. The second one would have done 38. The third one would have done 43, and the fourth one would have done 48. That would kill any planeswalker. So that's going to be it for Chandra. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next walker in line. This last deck is going to be with Harry Otter, and it's utterly adorable. This deck I've changed things around yet again, just because I feel like if you're going to be playing the same basic like cards, you need to change it up in some meaningful way. So I've got the Dragonhawk, I've got Loot, I've got Season of the Bold, and I've got Pyromancer's Goggles. But this time I'm leaning into Fire Servant to make it so that the Season of the Bold does more damage, because this is going to double the damage of my red spells. That winds up killing my opponent really quickly. I've got Assimilation Aegis here just so that I can stop my opponents if they do bad stuff. I've got Conversion in a few different ways, and then I've got Kylox's Volt Strider. This winds up giving full mana to spells in my hand, and since Ral's first ability gives me spells but doesn't give them mana, that's going to help with that. So it's just a slightly different version of the way that I was running last time. My goal is going to be to get to my 3rd loyalty ability, and then once I get my 3rd loyalty ability, to then just spam with Rafflecopter Evil. So I've got the Dragonhawk in my starting hand, which is perfect. I've got a Season of the Bold, which I don't need right now, and I've got Pyromancer's Goggles. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Dragonhawk first. That's going to get me a bunch of gems destroyed. It's going to exile some cards. It's going to get me a bunch of loyalty, too. I like that. I actually should have gone for the Goggles instead of Season of the Bold. Yeah, I really should have. Let's see. Here we got the Goggles. I'm almost at my 3rd already. Am I going to be at my 3rd this turn? Not quite, but close. Really. Oh, actually, I could be. Let's get to the 3rd. Let's guarantee that I'm at my 3rd ability, so that I can just start launching Seasons of the Bold, because that's going to be hilarious. So here I'm going to bring Koth up. I'm going to use my 3rd ability. That's going to get me the Little Otters. And then, now that I've got the Little Otters down, do I have a way of getting double matches? I do. Let's start the double match extravaganza. We've got red into green. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So this is going to exile 5. It gets me another Season of the Bold, which is great because of our Otter ability, which is now going to cast that Season of the Bold, which is going to be exiling some more cards, pinging my opponent, and it's going to make it so that the dragon is going to be more likely to pop those gold tokens, which is going to fill up my hand. And yeah, I think that my opponent's probably going to die next turn unless they kill my dragon here. What are they going to do? They're going to play some weird, uncommon thing that's not going to remotely help them. Cool. I am totally down for that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to activate the first ability here for my Otter. We get a Fire Servant. That's unfortunate that I drew a card there. That means that I can only fetch 1 Season of the Bold here, but I do actually have one in my hand. So I guess not the end of the world, right? So we're going to do that. Let's see. Should I activate Koth? I've already got Spree 1, and then I've already got a red match, actually. But let's do it just in case. Okay, so we're gonna get a red match. The red match, however, is not going to give me that. So we're gonna go for the blue match. We're gonna go blue, and then is the blue enough to win the game here? I think it'll be close. It'll be close, because I'll Season of the Bold, and then that first Season of the Bold, oh yeah, this is enough. This is definitely enough. And this is the Otter Gatling Gun, where you get the 3rd ability down, and then boom, 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 your opponent. I didn't get the Fire Servant down, but it didn't matter. We had the dragon, we had Season of the Bold, and that was enough to win that one. So if we take a look, that's 5-0 in the Legacy Training Grounds using a spread of different decks. I'm not going to use the Jaya one in this video just because it plays almost the same as the Chandra Ignited. Honestly, the 2 decks play very, very similarly. But as you can see, the deck is very effective. By the deck, I mean the duo, and if you have the other added cards, it's great. This duo will serve you amazingly well in events. The dragon giving you extra cards, destroying gems for mana and loyalty, and then Season of the Bold, just ramping up the dragon, giving you the gold tokens, and getting rid of creatures as well as doing damage to the opponent is just such a nasty combo. So I hope you enjoyed this. If there's a different way that you're running these, by all means, please share them with me. If you're running, say, just assemble the players with a dragon all by themselves, That's really cool. I really want to test that out. This is still day 2 of the set for me, so there really is there's so much for me to test out here. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.